Yellow Vests movement background. The issue around which the French movement centered at first was the projected 2019 increase in fuel taxes, particularly on diesel fuel. Diesel. Since the 1950s, the French government has subsidized the production of diesel engines. In particular, since 1980 Peugeot has been at the forefront of diesel technology. A reduction in VAT taxes for corporate fleets also increased the prevalence of diesel cars in France. Fuel prices. The price of petrol, SP95 E10, decreased during 2018, from €1.47 per litre in January to €1.43 per litre in the last week of November. Prices of petrol and diesel fuel increased by 15% and 23% respectively between October 2017 and October 2018. The world market purchase price of petrol for distributors increased by 28% over the previous year, for diesel, by 35%. Costs of distribution increased by 40%. VAT included, diesel taxes increased by 14% over 1 year and petrol taxes by 7.5%. The tax increase had been 7.6 cents per litre on diesel and 3.9 cents on petrol in 2018, with a further increase of 6.5 cents on diesel and 2.9 cents on petrol planned for January 1, 2019. The taxes collected on the sale of fuel are: the Domestic Consumption Tax on Energy Products, TISEP, La Taxe Intérieure de Consommation sur les Produits Énergétiques, which is not calculated based on the price of oil, but rather at a fixed rate by volume. Part of this tax, paid at the pump, goes to regional governments, while another portion goes to the national government. Since 2014, this tax has included a carbon component, increased each year, in an effort to reduce fossil fuel consumption. The TISEP for diesel fuel was raised sharply in 2017 and 2018 to bring it to the same level as the tax on petrol. Value-added tax, VAT, calculated on the sum of the price excluding tax and the TISEP. Its rate has been stable at 20% since 2014, after having been at 19.6% between 2000 and 2014. The protest movement against fuel prices mainly concerns individuals, as a number of professions and activities benefit from partial or total exemptions from TISEP. The protesters criticize Edouard Philippe's second government for making individuals liable for the bulk of the cost of the carbon tax. As the carbon tax has progressively been ramping up to meet ecological objectives, many who have chosen fossil fuel-based heating for their homes, outside of city centers, where a car is required, are displeased. President Macron attempted to dispel these concerns in early November by offering special subsidies and incentives. Diesel prices in France increased by 16% in 2018, with taxes on both petrol and diesel increasing at the same time and a further tax increase planned for 2019, making diesel as expensive as petrol. President Macron is bearing the brunt of the protesters' anger for his extension of policies implemented under François Hollande's government. Other non-union protests. One of the first known demonstrations in France against the taxation of petrol prices dates back to 1933 in Lille. The movement against tax increases also evokes the Poujadism of the 1950s, which mobilized the middle classes and was articulated around a tax revolt. Slowdown movements were also organized in the 1970s. In July 1992, such a movement was set up to protest against the introduction of the points-based permit. Economic reforms. The protesters claim that the fuel tax is intended to finance tax cuts for big business, with some critics such as Dania Colli-Lat-Khatib claiming that spending should be cut instead. Macron said the goal of the administration's economic reform program is to increase France's competitiveness in the global economy, and says that the fuel tax is intended to discourage fossil fuel use. Many of the Yellow Jackets are primarily motivated by economic difficulties due to low salaries and high energy prices. The majority of the Yellow Jacket movement wants to fight climate change, but are opposed to forcing the working class and the poor to pay for a problem caused by multinational corporations.